Yo, it's your boy iUnCapped, and I finally did it. I finally qualified for my first solo cup finals, giving me my first shot at official Fortnite earnings. For those who don't know, the finals format is simple, $100 per win, and for anyone that knows me, knows that making the finals has been a real challenge. I've experienced some real heartbreaking moments, the biggest one being when I missed it by literally 1 point after loading into my last game in Fortnite, kicking everyone off the bus. That's just one example on why that makes this accomplishment feel so good. A lot of people probably don't understand the level of achievement this is for me, but I just want you all to know that I don't know anyone personally that has official earnings in a video game, especially one like Fortnite. With that being said, I would like to issue a sincere apology for my lack of content. I've been trying to juggle working full-time, improving in competitive, and putting out good quality videos. It's been a learning process, but I'm hoping that this video is the start of something really good. I've included my thought process along with tips and tricks that I use to help me qualify for the finals, so be sure to like the video if it helps you at all. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new so you don't miss out on more content like this. And if you aren't using anyone's code in the item shop, be sure to use code iUnCapped because it helps us creators out a lot. Also, if you're looking for people to play with, be sure to join my Discord, link in the description. And if enough people join, eventually I can run scrims. The fight that you're watching is from my second to last game, and even though I ended up winning this fight, I ended up dying shortly after with a total of 39 points. Now it's only 5 minutes left in the tournament, so I only have time for one more game, and I need a total of 13 points for guaranteed qual. I didn't know that at the time, and I thought I would only need 9 points based on the last 2 weeks qual, so a 0 elimination top 10 is what I should have aimed for if I knew what qual was. But in general, I just needed to focus on making the end game. This leads me to the most important part, off spawn. This was my last game, so I needed to avoid any 50-50s. I noticed that there were a lot of gliders on my screen, and I noticed that my drop wasn't the best. So the best decision I could have made to save my game here was to just reroute. Rerouting isn't always the worst. Having a shambles drop and making it off spawn is a lot better than getting into a 50-50 and dying. Since I had a shambles drop, my loot wasn't the best, so I needed to find better loot. I didn't have full shield, and I needed to look to see if I could find maybe a big or some barrels or anything that could get me to full shield. With that being said, someone ends up running up to the building that I'm at, and I'm forced to use my slap juices. I really don't like using my slap juices when I don't have to, because I like saving those for the end game because those are really good for rotates. With that being said, a third party ends up flying in. We end up trading damage, and after that I just decide to leave because I know it's not worth to stay. Just make sure when you leave to disengage fights you do so properly and use walls, preferably wood, to block all possible angles. So I ended up going to the key chest so I could get better loot because I noticed that I had 3 keys, and the most gifted thing happened to me in Fortnite. I don't think I ever been this gifted before, but a gold cash spawns right next to me. It wasn't my cash, so I was a little hesitant at first, but I decided to go for it. And then one thing that I did that I think is important is I didn't build around it. 1, because I didn't want to draw unnecessary attention, and 2, I didn't want to waste my mats considering that I was still trying to recover from a shambles start. Now with that being said, I end up finding a purple combat cache as well, and I end up getting that one too. So you can get really lucky, especially off shambles starts. So always be sure to give yourself an opportunity off spawn and don't just 50-50. Now I'm fully stacked with 4 slurps and gold weapons, and I'm ready to AFK. This is basically looking for somewhere to hide. It stands for away from keyboard, but you're just looking for somewhere to just stay out of the way until the end game. So my first thought was to go to this house, but someone was in there, and I didn't bother to ego that person for the spot. I just let them have it, and eventually I think they got pulled up on anyways. So I end up going to this bush, and there are bush rules. I've died multiple times in solos because I didn't follow those rules. You want to shoot the bush when you're a good distance away from it, because if you get too close you could easily get 200 owed. So right here what I wanted to do was go ahead and look for where I could possibly rotate. So I ended up taking the water because no one can be in the water, right? Well, I ran into a griefer. Yep, I ran into a griefer, and I'm just going to explain what I did in this situation, also while explaining what a griefer is. A griefer is someone who will ruin your game, whether it costs them their game or not. They are determined to make your experience as bad as it possibly can be, and they do not care if it affects their gameplay and affects their outcome in their game. So this person just spams the heavy shotty, and this was before it was nerfed, so it was literally breaking every single build, and I end up taking damage. And I don't want to die in this situation because, like I said, it's my last game and I haven't even made it to the end game yet. So what I do is I don't make an edit and I don't try to heal until I know for sure that they're gonna leave me alone. I had 4 slurps, so it was no need to panic. I waited to make sure they were leaving before I decided to leave. I built off to block angles, and I went the opposite way. So I finally made it out of storm after getting griefed, and I'm shambles again. I need to get more brick because I used most of my brick, and I also needed to get more heals because I only had 1 slurp left. I made sure I made a single box when waiting for zone to pull, and then when I rotated, I got so gifted again with 5 slap juices. Now those slap juices, as I mentioned earlier, are very important for the end game and when rotating. I still needed to get more brick, so what I did was made sure I made a wood wall away from the brick, because if you build it right on the brick, it will break. And I made sure I used those walls for protection from that angle so I wouldn't get shot. After getting everything that I needed to make another rotate into zone. This is a late game rotate, and when you make these rotates, sometimes you can run into people, especially with the minimum amount of movement in the game. So when I run into that person, I decide to go the other way, and once again I'm using wood walls until I'm out to block angles, and then I'm still using my brick because I don't want to get beamed. And when I do get beamed, I just make a quick box. I look back and I look for another way to rotate. I shoot at them once and I decide it's not worth because I just need to get to zone. After finally getting into the zone, I box up immediately on the edge. I do not care about being in the middle anymore because being in the middle is pretty much irrelevant this late in the game. The zone's gonna pull far either way. I end up refarming the tree, reloading my weapons, and waiting for the next rotate. Once the next rotate is here, I make sure I pop my juice before I make any edits, and then I make sure I leave out a low-key spot so I don't get focused. I end up taking a pretty sketchy route, and this person is just boxed up with a window edit, shooting back at people coming his way. So the best thing I could do right there is just block off the front angles with ramps and just go over that person. As soon as I get to zone, which I'm not even in zone yet, but as soon as I get to a spot to box up, I get focused. But what I do is I keep my composure, and as long as you keep your composure and use your hard mats and just spam builds, you'll be fine getting focused, and they'll look at someone else to shoot. Speaking of shooting someone, I end up doing some high damage on this person, but I decide not to greet it because I just need to get into the best spot that I can for the next zone. So I just run with my slaps and I end up getting on a high layer, which you should always focus because it always makes your next rotate pretty easy. And I just hold my blueprint out to make sure I'm not getting spammed, getting focused, or jumped in on. So right here is where I almost sold my opportunity to make finals. I end up doing something that you should never do, which is greed refreshes in the back of storm. I end up taking a lot of storm damage because of this, but I also was able to save and make up for my mistake by paying attention to my surroundings. I could have took a lot of damage right there, but I ended up blocking off that angle with metal, and then I popped the slurp because I knew I was taking a lot of storm damage and I needed to get my health because I could just get one shot. So I get shot at for a few seconds when I finally make it into zone, but they stop and the next zone appears. As soon as the next zone appears, I rotate to where I think I would have the best rotate, and it ended up being a dead end, but I'm able to instantly react and go back the other way. Now before, I usually would try to force my way through the dead end and I would end up dying, and that's a lot of times where I didn't qualify. And right here I got the best refresh that I ever could have gotten. They had so many mats and I just instantly go to zone. At this point I thought that I qualified already, So I'm making a lot of dumb decisions and I'm just all over the place, but I'm just really excited and I'm really confident. With that being said, I had no idea that my next elimination was gonna give me the point that I needed to qualify. I saw someone healing in this box and I was just like, I'm just gonna jump in on this person being super confident like I was, and I end up instantly dying right after and getting a 2 elimination top 9, which gave me 3 more points than what I needed to qual. Well, there you have it. That's the game that qualified me for my first solo cup finals. If this video helped you at all, be sure to drop a like. It's your boy iUnCapped. I'm out of here. Peace.